Good morning, Pharrell.
What's happening? This sounds like the world famous Mrs. Yeet.
Yes,
Am I
it is.
right?
How are you?
I'm excited, man.
Oscar nominated and all that.
Listen, me and my family, man, we're over the moon. Seriously.
Yeah, and you've had a phenomenal last, year as well. You had number one and number two songs simultaneously on the charts.
Man, and you know what? At the end of the day, I attribute this to, the fans, man. Like, my only part in it is the song. And you might say, oh, that's what it is, but that's not what it is, honestly, because there's a lot of people who do amazing songs every day. You know what I mean? As a musician, I know, and I've seen that a lot. And I think the difference is that, like, when you look at, like, the views on the video or you look at, like, the spins or whatever, that's not me. And I just think it's important to highlight that. Like, none of this is my doing. And that's why you guys always hear me saying thank you so much, and I'm ever so grateful, because it took me a lot of years to recognize, like, all of the important moving parts. Like, the stars have to align. Mm-hmm. I can't give myself, over 75 million views or, requests for the song.
You can pay for that kind of stuff.
Well,
it's all. I mean, yours was organic, but you can pay for it.
But from what I hear, that lands you in federal prison. So that's not the route. But you know what? Like, seriously, like, when you look at all those views, that's all a human activity. That's human response. Like, people don't have to respond. They could hear it and not say anything, but they've been sharing it and requesting it and downloading and purchasing and even in some cases uploading, and that's just changed my life. So when you guys hear me saying thank you, it's because I know that, like, no matter how much I love a song, there's nothing I can do to make all of this activity happen. It's the people. So that's why I'm appreciative.
Well, first of all, bro, I want to salute you, man. You know, I saw you a few weeks ago in the halls here at Clear Channel, and I told you how good S.N.I.T.C.H was. But, do you realize S.N.I.T.C.H is the second greatest hip-hop acronym of all time?
Man, you know what? I was trying so hard. In that particular scenario, I was just trying to find a way, because personally I feel like we are just recycling the same subjects, the same content over and over again. So I was like, man, how can I make this interesting and try and, give another, vantage point to something that everyone still wants to talk about. And so I just tried to paint the picture from a different point of view, from the opposite side. Because everybody's like, oh, snitch, 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 snitch. But, like, what about what the guy's going through that's made him change his mind? And clearly there's more people doing it than not. So let's investigate that and let's sort of highlight it. I'm not condoning or not condoning. I wasn't judging. If anything, I was just trying to highlight the idea that that's real.
I told Pusha I can't believe nobody ever caught that. Like, all these years we've been doing Snitch records, nobody ever came up with that acronym. Sorry, Nick, I'm trying to come home.
Man, I'm trying, bro.
FYI, I condone snitching. I'm all for it. I'm not going to jail.
Oh, no. Wait. Excuse me. No. I wasn't speaking for myself. I was just telling you I wasn't judging. Let me be very clear. I'd be right there beside you, my brother.
Word.
Like, I'm not tough. I'm not no tough guy. Listen, Steven Spielberg ain't doing that neither. Like, we make movies at the end of the day, and we go home to our families. I am the furthest thing from a tough guy. I'm giving them the GPS. I'm telling them what your mama look like. I'm telling them what block you live on, and I'm going to get on the stand and say, I told y'all to do that.
Now, Pharrell, you talk a lot about the stars aligning and the way that things happen. It's not like you carefully and methodically think things through. And in particular, you credit the fact that you lived 5 minutes away from Teddy Riley's studio when you were growing up, and that's what kind of got you into the music business?
100%. 100%. It was Teddy Riley. It was Tammy Lucas, who kept highlighting to him that maybe I had, like, some talent. She actually taught me how to write songs. I used to look over my shoulder, and when people asked me, like, so how do you think all this happened? I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know. But, Teddy moved his studio literally adjacent to my high school, and he didn't do it 5 years before I got to my high school. He didn't do it 5 years after. It was right during that time. When you look at things like that, and I think about everybody from him all the way down to now, like Hans Zimmer, like all of these great mentors that have just come into my life, or even my junior high school music teacher, or my high school music teacher, I realized that I had a purpose and there's much for me to do. So when I see those things and I think about people like that, those people are integral people that if they weren't in my life, if I hadn't have met them and hadn't have encountered their incredible, intense mentoring, man, I wouldn't have the tools to do what I'm doing now. That's why y'all also hear me talking about education so much, because without those tools, you're just purely going off of instinct, and that's not enough.
Well, Pharrell, let's talk about stars aligning too, because It was a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years, where you didn't have a lot of production out there in the workplace. And, I was one of the people that was saying, like, I remember Mac Miller came to me and was like, he's working on an album with Pharrell. And I said, why? Pharrell's not hot right now. But you're Pharrell, though. And then, like, last year, it's like, boom, you showed us why you're still Pharrell with smashes after smashes after smashes. So what was that downtime like? Why didn't you have a lot of production in the marketplace at that time?
Well, because a lot of the records that you're hearing now were the records I made 2 to 3 years ago, and people weren't necessarily up for them. That it was kind of like they were mistaking it for being really pastiche and going, oh, well, that's throwback. No, it's not throwback. In fact, there are more 808s in this than yours, but that's okay. Because things will evolve and, people will want to do something different at a certain point, and I just had to wait. Sometimes you just have to wait. In that meantime, like Hans and I have been working on Spider-Man. We're scoring Spider-Man together. I've worked on a lot of, like, clothing things. So I did a bunch of stuff with Montclair, did stuff with Come to Their Song. I just kept myself occupied in the things that I felt were interesting to me. And then every once in a while, like, Jay would call and be like, yo, I need you for the record. And I would say yes and thank you so much. And then, so ambitious. Or like B would call me, and then we end up doing Blow. And that doesn't sound right on the radio. But
I
the
know.
song is called Blow.
Hey.
We ended up doing a song called Blow and this other record, Superpower. But just like a bunch of, all of the usual suspects would always keep me in mind, and they always understood that I just wanted to do something different. And I thank them so much for never asking me to concede and just do what everyone else was doing. That's the one thing that I felt was missing. But you know what? The cool thing is that, the universe and God, like, answers that call when you hear an album like Kendrick Lamar's, or you hear Lord's album, or you hear, Tyler's creativity, or it's just so much great music out there, and I just love the diversity. But that's what I was thinking and what I was dreaming about during those times.
And it seems like the fashion world has embraced you so much. I mean, you've had Billionaire Boys Club for over 10 years now, and you wore that hat at the Grammys, and now it's, coming back out as a line, and they're bidding for it for charity on eBay and everything.
You too can prevent forest fires, Pharrell.
Did you have any idea that hat was going to make such a big splash?
No, I was kind of surprised when people were like, oh, what's that big hat? And I'm kind of like, man, y'all don't know the Buffalo hat, like the Buffalo Gals? Like, that's, that record was like a big record in hip-hop, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it just something that I was educated on like 5 years ago, and I liked it. So I wore it like 5 years ago. I mean, there's a couple pictures online of it. But, you know me, man. I don't go left because for the sake of going left. I just end up being there because that's a little bit more interesting to me than to be one of the many. I love individuality, man. That's really what, I know y'all didn't ask me this, but that's what, like, our new, company collective is all about with I Am Other. It's about that which makes you different is what makes you special.
Right.
And I'm all about, like, things being different because, I'm a child of Tribe Called Quest. Those guys were the weirdest of the weird, and, like, I salute them still to this day because I see life through the eyes of, like, Tribe Called Quest and skateboarding, and both of those worlds made sense to me because it was all about, like, diversity.
Or was it ever a time where the industry fronted on your sound? Because Timberland said it was a time where, he had been the hot guy, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, no, your sound is dated. Like, industry heads were saying that.
Well, yeah, that's what they do. They do that to us all the time. You walk in with a record like Blurred Lines at a time where everything is EDM, like, doosh, 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 doosh. The night. At a time where that's like, and by the way, the black folks doing it, the white folks doing it, the Asian folks doing it, the Indian folks doing it, like everybody. Like at a time where that's going on, and I walk in with a record that feels like something Marvin could have done if he would have went down and worked in Nashville with, Robin Thicke, this white guy with this amazing soulful voice, but we doing pentatonic harmonies on top. Yeah, they're going to look at me crazy. So that was a lesson to me and to a lot of people, I feel like, in the music industry, that we don't need to judge music when we hear it. We need to put a visual to it so people can see how to move to it. Like, or you think about Happy. Like, come on, man. Y'all know that that's, if y'all, any of y'all got any kind of Southern family members, y'all know.
I'm from South Carolina, brother.
Okay, so you know the Mighty Clouds of Joy. You know what
Absolutely.
That feels like. Yeah, that's like that good Baptist music, but I just was, channeling Kurt Mayfield, or at least trying to. for happy. But you know what? When they heard that record, they was like, come on, man, like all this EDM music, that's never going to work. And you know what we did? We believed in ourselves, and we went and shot something, and we did something with the people. Just cultural diversity, you know?
Your new album is called Girl, and I love that because obviously it's an ode to women. You say that women are the reason that everything happens.
100%.
And there was some controversy, though, over the cover. They were saying, oh, he doesn't have any black girls on the cover, and people were going off on Twitter. How do you respond to that?
They wanted you to put Lupita from 12 Years a Slave on the cover.
By the way, who you can ask, and I told her 2 weeks ago, at an Oscars luncheon, I told her her skin was flawless. I just love her skin, by the way.
Yeah, she's bad.
But, my God. And
your skin is flawless, by the way, too, Pharrell.
No,
pause and all that good stuff, but, you got great skin. Now, continue on.
No, well, her skin is flawless. But, what really disappointed me is that, man, they jumped the gun because the one I'm standing the closest to is black. And she's a black girl from, like, Wisconsin that, I used to date, like, over 10 years ago, or like 12 years ago. And that just must suck, man, for people to just look at something and to assume that they know what's going on. And if they just bothered to listen to my album, they would know that my album was an ode to women, period. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I'm trying to kill, well, I can't kill anything, but the one thing I was just trying to help and aid in changing is this crazy statuesque standard of you got to be white, waif, and thin for you to be beautiful. And my next record is called Marilyn Monroe, and the chorus is, not even Marilyn Monroe, who Cleopatra please, not even Joan of Arc, that don't mean nothing to me. I just want a different girl. So that means no matter what color you are, what size you are, what you're into, your sexual orientation, I respect you as a woman because I know without you, none of us would be here. But unfortunately, they looked at the cover. They didn't see what they felt like what I don't know what a definition is. I mean, that she's light-skinned black woman, but I mean, what is this conversation? So is our president not black? I mean, is Lenny Kravitz not one of our greatest rock? Like, what are we talking about? And is Lisa Bonet in or out? Like, what are we talking about? Like, and I'm not mad because I understand. I understand that plight. My dad is a dark-skinned man. I understand that. I know what that is all day long. Have I lived it specifically? Yeah, I'm a black man. Mm-hmm. What about, when they just reported that I was like the first, I've been the first black person to go number one on pop radio since Rihanna.
Wow.
Like, but then you're going to shoot at me. Like, what do you mean? I'm going to turn 41 in April. Of course I'm doing this first. What are you talking about, man? My mom is a black woman that is a part of a huge part of my business. My business is run by another black woman, and I'm married to a black woman. What are you talking about?
Pharrell, you know what you got to do. For your Marilyn Monroe video, you got to get Gabourey Sidibe to be the lead girl.
Oh, stop it.
You got to have a romantic scene with Gabourey Sidibe, and they'll leave you alone.
I refuse. You know what I'm saying? Why? I refuse. I mean, listen, because my thing is about women, period. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like there's such a bigger statement that I'm making in the album that relates to all women, and that's what I think. That's how I think we bring everyone together is when we respect the female species across the board. And I'm not telling you that my album don't have no slick, perverse things in there, because that's what I do sometimes. I like sweat, I like curves, I like eyes, beauty, body, and all that stuff. But there are some real, true keystone points about how I feel about women as it pertains to humanity and the social imbalance, how they don't get paid as much as men do, right. How, we need more Sheryl Sandbergs in the world, or like how, these legislators are trying to tell women what they can and can't do with their body, when meanwhile these same people are the beneficiaries to a woman, not a man, but a woman agreeing to have them. But you're going to tell them when they can and can't do it. Just bothers me because they missing the point. They saw that and they jumped the gun. And, man, it must suck to be that black woman that's on my cover right now because she's black.
And it is refreshing, I have to say, to have somebody, just vocally praising women, because I feel like that doesn't really happen a lot, especially not up here with Charlamagne.
You crazy.
Yeah.
Always praise women.
And the crazy thing is when they find out that she is black, then what? Then we're arguing amongst ourselves within color. Because
right.
then the argument's going to be, is
she's
she
too
brown enough?
light-skinned.
But then my question to you is, are y'all asking me, do I have an Indian person on the cover? Why aren't you asking me about a Pakistani person on the cover? Or a Middle Eastern person on the cover? Like, I just, man, What are we talking about, man? We're making huge strides here. Let's unify, dude. Like, because honestly, if you know anything about me, if you've seen any of my videos, you know any of the girls I've ever dated, you know I like them all. You know, you would know that.
I don't care about black or white. I care about pink.
Oh, my God. Charlamagne.
Okay.
Hey, Pharrell, you got to come to the Breakfast Club next time you're in town, man.
Man, I will. And you know what? I thank you guys so much for asking me that question. I don't know. I'm not sure what prompted it, but thank you because, and by the way, the other thing that I have to say is it's not perfect. You're going to find flaws. You want to know why? Because I'm a human being. But I hope at the end of the day, when it all boils away, what's at the bottom of the pot is y'all see my intention. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying thank you, man. I'm going on 41, and they asked me to make this album. I wasn't going to do it. I just was going to stick to my, NERD chord, regional, and just continue producing and, do scoring, and that was it. But all of a sudden, it's like these guys came out of nowhere and asked me to make a record, and I knew instantly who I wanted to make it about, and those are the people who have taken care of me for the last 20 years, the women.
Well, we appreciate you very much, Pharrell.
Absolutely, man. And when you come up here, you got to give us, good skin tips. Tell us how to look youthful looking, all that good stuff.
Listen, it's very simple. It's three things. Number one, take care of your face. Number two, drink a lot of water. Number three, it's my mama.
Jeans.
Word.
Yeah.
Why your daddy don't get no credit?
Listen, I'm a blend of my mom and my dad. So,
okay.
My dad don't want to hear that. That's your mama, boy.
Hey, Pharrell, thank you for calling, my brother. We gotta see you when you come in town, man.
Yeah, we need a nice
Absolutely.
Pharrell sit down.
Please, I would love that. And thank you guys so much for pushing the record the way you have. It's the reason why it's #1 this week, and I'm ever so grateful.
Yes, Emmy comes in here every morning playing that song. It puts us all in a great mood.
Oh, and you need to know that Urban Radio was very resistant to that record at first because it was labeled a quote-unquote pop record. But I think that's a whole nother box that we have to get up out of.
Yeah, because they need to. If that's what Urban Radio thought, they need to come down to the South and see that's Black Baptist music. Please don't get it twisted.
Word.
Play that in church and see what happens.
All right, my brother. Thank you for calling.
Thank you guys so much.
Great.